I took the $1 million Marcus's family gave me and broke up with him. 5 years later, Marcus was a renowned A-list actor, and I was an entertainment reporter newly returned to the country. We met at an interview, and I asked from the interview script, "Mr. Marcus, can you tell us anything about your marital status?" Marcus twirled the ring on his finger, his tone nonchalant. "I once had a girlfriend, but she dumped me for money. Ms. Grace, don't you think she was awful?" Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and tell us where you're listening from in the comments. An uproar erupted at the live broadcast. Viewers speculated which woman was so ungrateful. I froze on the set, unsure how to respond to Marcus's question. After a long pause, Marcus stopped fiddling with his ring and gave a slight tug at the corner of his lips. "I'm just kidding. Who would be so ruthless as to abandon everything for money?" I sighed in relief and casually echoed, "Mr. Marcus is quite humorous." When the live broadcast ended, the set staff began their wrap-up work. Marcus casually picked up his jacket from the back of the chair and stood up as if no one else was there. My gaze followed him, and Marcus noticed. He turned around and pointed to my ID badge. "Grace, the reporter, do you need anything else?" Realizing my presumption, I quickly looked down and explained, "No, nothing." He raised his eyelids slightly and looked down at me, as if I were a piece of trash. "Many people want to curry favor with me in the entertainment industry. I advise you not to get any ideas." I stood obediently to the side, waiting for him and his team to pass. How could I dare to get any ideas? I'm a coward. It was like this now, and it was like this 5 years ago. Back then, a renowned talent agent came to my school. That's when I found out that my boyfriend of 2 years was the son of a wealthy businessman and an A-list actress. I watched him put on an expensive custom-tailored suit and get into a luxury car I'd never seen before. Tall bodyguards formed a human wall, keeping the agitated crowd tightly at bay. I never imagined that the man who had been sitting with me by the roadside eating instant noodles just 2 days prior. Now, if I wanted to see him, I'd be treated like a disrespectful obsessed fan. That night, Marcus secretly snuck back. He stood outside the girls' dormitory all night, and the moment he saw me in the morning, he gripped my hand and said, "Grace, trust me, I'll give you a future." The next day, he appeared on the giant screens and times again. Rising Marcus's agent, Jessica, approached me. Without a word, she pushed a bank card across the table to me. "Eleanor asked me to speak with you. Your status isn't worth her time. You know that you and Marcus are from 2 different worlds, and this relationship can never work out. Taking the money and leaving is the most dignified thing you can do." I looked up at the TV screen in the cafe. Marcus's endorsement deals played on a loop. As the son of a wealthy man and an A-list actress, he had resources from his debut that others couldn't gain even with immense effort. He was so at ease in front of the camera, as if he were born for the screen. And I was nothing but a rat in a gutter. I wanted to dramatically throw that card in Jessica's face, like in the movies. I wanted to say that I would never leave Marcus and tell her to get lost. But reality wasn't a fairy tale world, and I didn't have Cinderella's luck. Grace, good for nothing, was a pathetic figure who shied from the light. And this pathetic figure now needed the money. I took the card. Jessica told me it contained $1 million. As long as I didn't squander it, it would be enough for me to live on for most of my life. Thus, Marcus's family had acted honorably towards me. As soon as I left the cafe, Marcus's phone call came through. The moment I answered, his voice held clear delight. "Grace, my M said you wanted to break up with me." And I said, "How could that be?" Marcus denied it verbally, but his tone was urgent. "Grace, where are you? Can I come find you?" My hand tightened around my phone, and I finally made up my decision. "Marcus, don't come looking for me. We're over." From his end, I heard the sound of a car starting, as agitated as the storm brewing outside. Marcus knew me too well. He knew I had a very limited social circle and nowhere to go. He stopped me at the corner on my way back to the dorm. Torrential rain poured down, accompanied by thunder and lightning. Pedestrians scattered for cover, but Marcus walked against the crowd. I hid in a phone booth by the roadside, its transparent glass door like an insurmountable chasm. Marcus pounded frantically on the phone booth door. Amidst the deafening thunder, his voice was faint and broken. "Grace, we promised each other. Why are you suddenly breaking up with me? Grace, please don't break up, let's not break up." The rain came quickly and fiercely. Marcus stood in the rain, like a drowned rat. I pulled open the door forcefully and yelled at him, "Marcus, $1 million. Your mom gave me a full $1 million. I've never seen so much money in my life." What's wrong with seizing immediate benefits instead of waiting for a future with no end in sight? You know I love money most. Marcus fell silent. He stood alone in the rain. Jessica rushed over and wrapped him tightly in a jacket. There were more than just one paparazzi crouching around. If that video got out, Marcus's acting career would likely be over before it even began. She told me that if I stayed with Marcus, I would harm him. So, under Jessica's arrangement, I took the $1 million and went abroad. The video of Marcus's emotional breakdown in the rain still spread online. Eventually, the company released a statement, saying it was just a scene from a shoot. Unexpectedly, Marcus found a blessing in disguise. His stellar acting went viral. And my past with Marcus, like that scene in the rain, began abruptly and then fizzled out. The world isn't filled with idealized power fantasy novels. 5 years later, when we met again, I was the lowliest of the low, and he was on top of the world. This could never change. The cooperation between the production team and Marcus was not yet over. Unexpectedly, Marcus refused to show up for the final exclusive interview. I had just returned from abroad and, a week into my new job, I got the opportunity to interview Marcus. Brittany, a reporter in my department who had been working for 5 or 6 years, held a grudge against me ever since. She proactively complained to our boss, claiming I had offended Marcus. I confronted her, asking, "What evidence do you have to say that?" Brittany calmly replied, "On the day of the interview, your eyes were practically glued to Marcus. Do you think I didn't notice? Grace, Marcus always has admirers, but it has to be his choice. Those who throw themselves at him usually don't end up well. Don't let your own pipe dream ruin things for all of us." The boss stepped in, mediating. "Grace, since that's the case, why don't you go and bring Marcus back?" I couldn't refuse. It was, after all, an interview I hadn't completed. After debuted, he opened his own film and television company. Aside from his acting career, he also had business engagements for his company. His schedule was booked for 6 months out. Unable to meet him in person, I could only wait day and night outside his company, tracking his schedule. In a daze, I suddenly heard a commotion in the lobby. A group of staff members surrounded Marcus as he walked in. I struggled to push through, but tall bodyguards blocked me. "Excuse me, miss, please step back." I anxiously held up my press pass and said, "I'm not a fan. I'm a reporter from Riverside, and I have an appointment with Mr. Marcus." Marcus took off his sunglasses to look at me, his eyes filled with intense scrutiny. He scoffed, "Ms. Grace, do appointments always have to be honored?" No sooner had Marcus finished speaking than I was pushed and jostled back into the crowd. I could only shout in response, "Yes, promises must be kept." Everyone around turned their heads, looking at me as if I were a lunatic. A fan immediately retorted, "Who are you to speak to Marcus like that?" It was then I realized I had been too impulsive, and my tone was out of line. Marcus pursed his lips and, unusually, began to explain. "I forgot. I do have an interview scheduled with a reporter today." The appeased fans reluctantly left, and I was led to the company's lounge. A little while later, Marcus, having changed into casual clothes, pushed open the door and entered. His first words upon entering were, "Thousands of people break contracts in this world. Why can't I? Isn't it normal for someone of my standing to be acting like a diva?" I stammered, "It's normal. It was my professional oversight and affected our collaboration." Marcus held a glass in his hand, his fingers tightening, knuckles slightly white. He set the glass heavily on the table, splashing water onto the back of his hand. "Grace, what would it hurt to apologize and show a little humility?" I apologized to him. "I'm sorry, Mr. Marcus, I was negligent this time and didn't schedule an appointment with you in advance." Marcus turned to look at me, emotion swirling in his eyes, his Adam's apple bobbing. He leaned against the wall next to me, slumped slightly. "Grace, you know that's not what I'm talking about." I avoided his gaze and said to myself, "Aside from that, I can't think of any other conflict between us." Marcus suddenly laughed. He threw my interview outline onto the table. "Since you want to keep up the act, then keep up the act, don't let your guard down." A woman in a red dress pushed open the door and naturally linked her arm through Marcus's. "Mr. Marcus, the cocktail party is about to start, we shall leave." Marcus lightly tilted the woman's chin, his gaze was unreadable. "Annie, you look beautiful today." His large hand wrapped around Annie's slender waist. The woman chuckled, a blush spread across her face. I quickly averted my eyes, turning my face away. Marcus spoke, his voice cold. "Ms. Grace, what did you see? You won't tell, will you?" Without waiting for my answer, he added, "It doesn't matter if you do. The entertainment industry is a corrupt place. Who can truly remain innocent? Given my status, anything I do is normal, wouldn't you agree? In fact, I didn't need to say anything, rumors were already rampant outside. Annie, a popular young starlet, signed with Marcus's agency 2 years ago. In just 1 year, despite her terrible acting, she had risen to become one of the top young starlets. Before, there was Susan, and before Susan, there was Heather. In these 4 or 5 years, new actresses in the entertainment industry were replaced at a rapid pace. But's influence was behind it all. Marcus could promote whoever he liked, whoever he wanted to. He just never gave any of them an official title. Among them, Annie wasn't the most beautiful. But she had stayed by Marcus's side for 2 full years, the longest of them all. The world knew the A-list actor was a playboy, yet countless actresses desperately tried to get close to Marcus. Everyone was confident they could make a playboy settle down, and Annie was the closest to succeeding. She could openly appear by Marcus's side, accompanying him to various business engagements. She could also shoot magazine covers with Marcus, the two of them appearing as a couple on giant screens all over the world. Annie wanted luxury goods worth tens of millions, and Marcus would grandly gesture, without even batting an eye. It was obvious to everyone that Marcus's feelings for Annie were different. 4. Marcus was always generous. Thinking of this, I suddenly found it amusing. Back then, Marcus, the scion of a prominent family, pretended to be a struggling college student. For $1,000, he worked day and night for half a month doing part-time jobs. He just wanted to buy me a platinum necklace from a boutique as a gift. But I stopped him on his way to buy the necklace. I was used to being poor and didn't see the value in a piece of jewelry for myself. I thought Marcus would get angry, but he didn't. He used that $1,000 to buy me a complete set of winter gear. Marcus personally helped me put on snow boots and bundled me up tightly in an excessively pink scarf. Amidst the falling snow, he kissed my wet cheeks. Grace, you must stay warm all winter. Later, after I broke up with him and decided to go abroad, I deleted all contact information related to Marcus. Late at night, in the quiet, I secretly browsed Marcus's Instagram on an alt account. That's when I discovered that the boutique selling the necklace, and the entire mall, belonged to Marcus's family. He captioned, "What you once didn't want, you are destined never to have." The comments section was filled with praise for Marcus's family's immense wealth. But I knew Marcus resented me, hated me, and was openly mocking me. Still, he wasn't wrong, those things were never meant to be mine. I'm timid, so even when I browsed social media on an alt account, for all these years, I never dared to say a word in his comment section. There was never any semblance of equality between Marcus and me. This situation was sealed the moment I took the $1 million his mother gave me. That 1 million was like an iron skewer, impaling me and grilling me over a fire day and night. My uneasy conscience led me to return to the country. I was only short of 100,000 to earn 1 million, and only by returning the money to Marcus. Only then would we truly be settled. Currently, Gray still owed Marcus. This interview nearly had to be cancelled due to Marcus's absence. We could only let Dylan, the backup rising singer, step in. Dylan knew he was filling in for Marcus and acted very ostentatiously, because he understood that no matter how outrageous he was, we couldn't replace him. It was genuinely too late to find someone else at such short notice. In the studio, everything was ready, except Dylan was lounging casually on the sofa. I asked 3 times, "Can we start?" but he didn't respond. After a long while, Dylan looked at the interview outline in my hand. He glanced at my ID badge, his tone filled with displeasure. "Grace, what's your deal? Are you using Marcus's outline to interview me?" I explained, "Mr. Dylan, you've misunderstood. This is our program's standard cover design." Dylan ignored my explanation and talked to himself. "I know you want to interview the A-list actor, but he'd rather pay the cancellation fee than show up. Who do you think you are?" Dylan infuriated me, but I didn't dare to react. I could only say, "I didn't mean anything by it. I hope Mr. Dylan will be more respectful." Dylan stood up from the sofa and leaned close to my face. He scrutinized me intently, then curled his lip in disdain. "Me respect you? You're not worthy." Dylan yelled towards the outside of the studio, "Get me someone else. I don't want to be interviewed by an incompetent good-for-nothing." With that, he lazily flopped back onto the sofa, waiting to see me be embarrassed in front of my colleagues. The studio was in a mess, someone ran off to consult the director. All the work was scheduled to proceed procedurally. Dylan's deliberate obstruction and delay would cause everything to collapse later. I told my colleague who was relaying messages that maybe Brittany should do the interview. The assistant had just run out when he returned shortly. Following him, Marcus came striding in. He took off his suit jacket and tossed it casually into my arms. He watched me while slowly and methodically rolling up his sleeves. Did I tell you I wasn't coming? You didn't even ask, you just found some random person to replace me. I remained silent. Marcus hadn't explicitly said he wasn't coming. It was my assumption. His hatred and torment towards me were expected. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, Marcus didn't expect to get an explanation from me. He lowered his head deeply, his eyes darkened. Grace, don't think I'm like you. Dylan's attitude wasn't as arrogant as before either. He reluctantly stood up from the sofa, muttering unhappily. Mr. Marcus, there's no need to curse. I'm not some random person. Marcus's brow furrowed deeply, and he snapped back at him. Did I give you permission to speak? He nodded to the camera operator. Turn off all recording equipment in the studio. We start promptly in 10 minutes. The moment the studio lights went out, Marcus punched Dylan in the side of the face. Dylan never imagined Marcus would hit him so openly in front of so many people. He held his bleeding nose, backing away repeatedly, yelling, "Help! The A-list actor is hitting me. He's going to kill me." But everyone in the studio had just witnessed his arrogant behavior. At that moment, they were practically itching to applaud Marcus, so why would they intervene? Ant's agent and assistant dared not offend a star of Marcus's stature. If his career ended, they still had to continue working in this industry. Dylan looked around, found no one coming to stop him, and slumped onto the floor in despair. But wasn't done with him. He half crouched down and grabbed Dylan's collar. I'm asking you, what were you yapping about just now? Tell me again, who wasn't worthy? Dylan was already scared out of his wits and hastily spoke. I wasn't worthy, I was wrong. Marcus swung his fist again, hitting Dylan on the chin, sending him flat on his back. You know you're wrong, so what should you do? Dylan had lost all his former bravado. He scrambled to my feet. Ms. Grace, I shouldn't have spoken to you like that just now. Please let me go. I shook my head. It wasn't that I wouldn't forgive Dylan. It was just that Marcus hit Dylan probably because he disliked him, and it didn't have much to do with me. Marcus grabbed Dylan by the hair, pulled him back, and forced him to make eye contact. What should we do? She doesn't want to let you go. Hearing's words, I suddenly realized. Marcus's suit jacket lay on the floor. I instinctively pointed to myself and asked, me? Marcus pursed his lips and licked his back teeth. Did he curse at anyone else just now? Oh, no, I've already forgiven him. Please let him go. Whether it was my imagination or not, Marcus didn't seem particularly happy after hearing what I said. His final punch landed on Dylan's left cheek. Dylan cried, holding his face, she already forgave me. Why is he still hitting me? That last punch was for myself, got a problem with that? Dylan nodded, crying. He scuttled away in terror, trying to leave the studio. Marcus extended his arm to block him. Dylan, how did you get those injuries on your face? Dylan lowered his head, not daring to look at Marcus. Mr. Marcus, these injuries were from me accidentally falling. Marcus patted his swollen, bruised face. Look at you, so clumsy. You need to be more careful in the future. Instantly, Dylan looked at Marcus as if he were a demon. Chapter 9-10 later, I heard that after returning from the studio, Dylan spent 2 months recovering from his injuries. He missed his prime as a celebrity and eventually faded into obscurity. Marcus picked up his suit jacket from the floor. I got there before him and touched the edge of the jacket. It's dirty. Let me wash it for you before I return it, Mr. Marcus. Marcus sneered and snatched the clothes from my hand. It's autumn. Do you want to lose your hands? I quickly looked around, but thankfully everyone was busy and no one noticed us. I unconsciously tucked my hands into my sleeves. There was dry, peeling skin on her palms, raw in places, revealing red, raw skin. My skin is sensitive, and in the dry autumn it always peels. When it's severe, my hands hurt so much I couldn't even hold chopsticks. I'd tried many treatments over the years, but none were very effective. When I was in school, the communal washing machine was always full. I couldn't afford to send my clothes to the laundromat, so I had to wash them little by little with my hurting hands. Marcus took pity on me, saying he knew the laundromat owner and could get them washed for 30% of the price. I foolishly gave him all my dirty clothes, paying only a few dollars each time. Only later did I learn that Marcus was a germaphobe and disliked communal washing machines. Those dirty clothes of mine? He had scrubbed them clean himself, one, by the sink. And I only found out when his roommates joked about it. They said Marcus was thick-skinned for hanging a girl's clothes in the boys' dorm. As a result, their dorm became a tourist attraction. Everyone who went there had to take a look and come to admire this great romantic. Marcus didn't care. He comforted me. Grace, don't listen to their nonsense. I'd have to wash my own clothes anyway, so it's just a small favor. His identity was revealed, and I belatedly realized that given his family background, those few items of clothing were probably the only ones he had ever washed by hand in his life. Marcus picked up my phone from the table and unlocked it using my facial recognition. He tapped on the phone app, entered his phone number, and his phone's ringtone sounded in his assistant's hand. I usually don't wear my clothes a second time. No need to wash it, just pay for it. I took my phone back, looking at the number on the display screen, slightly stunned. Over the years, I had deactivated countless phone numbers. My WhatsApp and social media accounts were changed repeatedly, but's phone number was the exact same as 5 years ago. Even if he hadn't entered it, I knew it by heart. Marcus didn't demand an exorbitant sum, he only asked me to pay $100,000 for the jacket. I knew that given his wealth, this $100,000 was nothing, the kind you wouldn't bother picking up if you dropped it. But for me, I was still short of $200,000. That day wouldn't be too far off. Once all the funds from abroad returned to my account, I would be able to repay everything at once. I didn't want to repay the money in 2 installments. That would mean enduring 2 rounds of awkwardness and torment. Marcus became my creditor, or so he thought. He sent me a text, mocking, "Ms. Grace, you've been abroad for so many years, how is it that you don't even have a mere $100,000? I didn't reply, letting him ridicule me on purpose. When I finished work that evening, Marcus drove past my office building. He blocked my path. "I have a social gathering tonight. If you come and serve drinks, you won't have to repay that $100,000. I certainly didn't lack that $100,000 now. I could even Venmo transfer it to him immediately. But I still went. Marcus wasn't after the money, he clearly wanted to humiliate me. Just serving drinks, at least that would ease my guilt a little. In the dimly lit private room, 4 or 5 casually dressed men were seated. I had only seen these people in financial or entertainment newspapers. A man in a red shirt stood up to greet Marcus. "Marcus, why didn't you bring Annie today? Do you have a new girlfriend?" Liam, the young master of the Liam, had been on the cover of financial magazines. Marcus left me standing there and went to sit on the sofa himself. "It's nothing. Someone wants to repay a debt this way. If you have any requests tonight, just tell her." Brandon, lounging casually, raised an eyebrow. He was a notorious playboy in the industry, rumored to change girlfriends more often than clothes. "Sister, why are you dressed so conservatively? Just got off work?" I replied, "Yes, I just left the office at 6. Brandon paused, perhaps unaccustomed to my directness, and seemed stunned. He looked at Marcus for help, who merely narrowed his eyes slightly, unaffected. "Aren't you here to serve drinks? Why are you just standing there like an idiot?" No sooner had Marcus spoken than a waiter immediately placed an opened wine bottle in my hand. I picked up a glass from the table, poured the wine, and offered it to Marcus. Marcus looked at my hand hovering in the air, but ultimately didn't take it. He stared at the wine in the glass, his expression unreadable. "That's not how you serve drinks." With that, Marcus pushed me onto the sofa, picked up the wine bottle from the table, and poured it into my mouth. The pungent alcohol rushed down my throat. I choked and turned red, but offered no resistance. Everyone present was startled by Marcus's roughness. The next second, the man violently smashed the wine bottle onto the floor. He held my back, trying to pat out the wine I had swallowed. In the dim light, Marcus's eyes were bloodshot at the corners. He yelled at me at the top of his lungs, "Grace, I'm fucking bullying you, don't you know that? I told you to drink, and you drank. 5 years ago, I told you not to leave, but you left anyway?" My throat tightened, and tears streamed down uncontrollably. "I'm sorry, Marcus, I'm sorry." Marcus's tears fell too, landing on my face, burning hot. "I thought you'd never acknowledge me again. Was I so embarrassing to you?" I cried and shook my head. It wasn't that he was embarrassing, it was that I wasn't worthy. Marcus rolled over, slumped onto the sofa, and rubbed his forehead. Finally, he said, "Grace, you can go now. I'm serious." I fled the private room. My phone made a notification sound. The last of my funds from abroad had arrived. $220,000, just enough to repay Marcus's $1.1 million. The night was chilly, street lights dazzling. I walked aimlessly down the street, draped in Marcus's jacket. I double-checked the balance on my bank card. The 2 years I spent with Marcus flashed before my eyes like a fleeting glimpse. When I first started college, my family wasn't wealthy, but at least both parents were alive and well. and we never worried about food or clothing. I was optimistic and cheerful, incredibly naive. Marcus said he liked me, said I was like a little sun, always radiating light and warmth. Later, we got together. Marcus didn't deliberately hide his family background, but my understanding was limited. I couldn't even pronounce the letters on his clothes and shoes correctly. I had no idea that a casual piece of his clothing could cost 5 figures. The year my freshman year ended, my dad's business failed, and he owed $800,000. That night, my dad, after drinking, got into an argument with my mom while driving, and they both drove into the river. When I returned home, all that awaited me were 2 black and white photos and a massive debt. I didn't dare tell Marcus the truth, only saying that my family was short on money and couldn't be as comfortable as before. Now, looking back, Marcus was afraid I'd feel inferior. He took off his expensive clothes and shoes. He accompanied me to roadside stalls to buy t-shirts for $30 and sneakers for $50. He said, "Grace, what a coincidence, my family has fallen on hard times, and I've become an even more pathetic wreck than you." He said it so convincingly that I actually believed him. I carelessly dragged him along to work. He worked hard for living expenses, and I worked hard to pay off debts. But was, after all, a rich kid. His father was a renowned entrepreneur, and his mother was a several-time award-winning actress. They naturally couldn't allow Marcus to waste his energy on such meaningless things. Under their arrangement, Marcus returned to his own life's path. Those first few days back, he texted me daily. He told me about new things I had never experienced. He said, "Grace, in a few days, when my work here is finished, I'll bring you to live with me, and we'll be together properly from now on." Marcus was full of anticipation for the future, but my heart grew colder the more I listened. The tragedy between us was sealed from the moment he first saw me. If we hadn't been studying together, he would have been someone I could never encounter in my entire life. Fortunately, when I didn't know how to refuse, Jessica appeared first. Her timing was perfect. By then, I couldn't repay the debt. The bank was going to foreclose and auction off my grandmother's old house. When she offered the $1 million, I found no reason to refuse. Holding the money, I thought, Marcus's taste is truly terrible. For someone like me, ordinary-looking, opportunistic, and unprincipled, his liking me was the greatest flaw in his life. So, I took the money, paid off my debts, and secretly ran off to another country. From then on, I was destined to couldn't face the light, couldn't face people. Unknowingly, I walked to Marcus's office building. The building was brightly lit, bustling with people. I sat against a statue in the plaza, buried my face, and cried. I thought Marcus had long forgotten me, or if he hadn't, he only harbored hatred. But the current situation felt like a momentary lapse on my part that caused us both 5 years of suffering. At this moment, I was uncertain what exactly I owed Marcus. I thought Marcus would never contact me again, at least not until I repaid the money. So, when I went downstairs the next morning and saw Marcus's car parked there, I was truly surprised. Without a word, he reached over from the driver's seat and opened the passenger door. Marcus wasn't looking well, there were dark circles under his eyes, and his hair was messy. He was wearing yesterday's clothes, which reeked of alcohol. I knew better than to argue and got in. Then, Marcus automatically locked the car. He looked up at where I lived. It was called an apartment complex, but it was just 3 rows of 6-story buildings. The peeling paint on the walls, the security bars were rusty, and the narrow, dark stairwell's entrance was out of sight. Marcus tapped his index and middle fingers lightly on the steering wheel. He said, "Grace, you're quite resourceful. With $1 million, you managed to live like this." I thought for a long time, then finally mustered the courage to take out the bank card I carried with me. Marcus saw it but didn't take it. I placed the card in the storage compartment in front of the car. Marcus furrowed his brow, a flicker of irritation on his face. "You don't need to repay that $100,000. We settled it last night." I said, "It's not 100,000, it's 1.1 million. Marcus, this is what I owe you. I'm sorry it took 5 years to repay it." Marcus took out the bank card, its edge deeply pressed into his palm. He felt no pain, allowing it to left red marks on his skin. Then, he opened the car window and threw the card out. During the morning rush hour traffic, the 1.1 million disappeared within moments. I felt heartbroken. "I repaid it, you're the one who didn't want it." Marcus nodded, "The money's repaid. When will you give me back my 5 years?" I sighed. He was right. "I can work for you for free for 5 years, doing anything." Marcus chuckled, "You wish. You want to join my company, But are these 5 years for you to atone for your sins or to polish your resume? Marcus started the car and drove me to a high-end club. He dropped me off in the dressing room, arranging for someone to do my makeup and get me dressed, then left for elsewhere. I thought he was going to make me serve drinks again, but the makeup artist only applied light makeup. The clothes she picked out for me were just a plain white shirt. Marcus emerged from another room, having changed out of yesterday's clothes. His hair was neatly styled with hairspray, as if he could go to set any second. Without a word, he pulled me back to my old apartment complex. The car silently glided to a stop downstairs, and I was still completely baffled. Grace, I know what you're afraid of. 5 years ago, you were afraid of public opinion, afraid my parents wouldn't approve, so you hid all over the world like a mouse. Since that's the case, let's get married. I froze, thinking Marcus was playing a trick on me. Marcus, stop joking. It's impossible for us. Marcus leaned in and gently squeezed my chin. He said, Grace, you think it's impossible? Perfect. You've been living such a miserable life, and I couldn't figure out how to get revenge on you. Since you want nothing to do with me, I insist on marrying you. He casually tossed the marriage license onto me. Grace, what you fear, you will slowly have to endure. I didn't know how to respond, sitting in the passenger seat, in a dilemma. A click sounded, and Marcus leaned over to unbuckle my seatbelt. What are you staring at? Don't you have a marriage license at home, or are you already married? I quickly retorted, no, I'm not married. He glanced at his watch. I'll give you 10 minutes. If you're not down in 10 minutes, I'll break in. I panicked. This was my grandmother's old house, and all the neighbors knew each other. I was terrified Marcus would cause a huge commotion. All I wanted was to quickly get the marriage license and send away this unwanted person. Marcus truly had financial leverage, he cut in line. From stepping into the entrance to the county's office to coming out with the certificate, it took less than 20 minutes. Looking at the red marriage certificate in my hand, I still felt disoriented. Without hesitation, Marcus went back to the old house and moved my belongings into his mansion. Finally, he threw his car keys and house keys at me. He said, Grace, I can't stand to see you shirk responsibilities. Since you're so good at managing money, you'll make a great household manager. 2 months into my marriage with Marcus, I continued going to work as usual, and Marcus continued filming his scenes as usual. I found myself checking the marriage CE certificate several times a day, and I even drafted a divorce agreement giving up all assets, leaving it nearby. I figured if Marcus's parents ever found out, it would be convenient to just grab it and head to the county's office. But 3 days later, I discovered both items had disappeared. I went to ask Marcus, have you seen the things I put in the drawer? Marcus stared at me intently. What did you put in there? I stammered, just my marriage certificate. Marcus opened the safe in his study right in front of me. Your marriage certificate is here with me. As for the other things, I didn't see them. I had always thought Marcus's family was unaware of our marriage. Not until Eleanor again won the Best Award, and I was assigned by my boss to interview her backstage. All the other reporters had left, and I was planning to sneak away behind them too. But then I heard Eleanor call my name. Ms. Eleanor, is there something else? Eleanor scoffed, Grace, you're still so impolite. You've been married into this family for so long, and not even calling me mom when you see me is one thing, but you don't even say hello. What? Am I going to eat you? I stood before her, unsure what to say. Eleanor stood up and fiddled with her nails. Girl, don't be foolish. Do you really think I'd go against my son for a woman? And don't talk to me about 5 years ago. Remember, I didn't force you, you chose to leave. If you had been as resolute as my foolish son, you wouldn't have drifted apart. She picked up her elegant small handbag from the sofa and yawned. I'm off. I still need to get a facial. 18 Marcus's interview had long been over. He bypassed the media and went into the underground parking garage. The black car slowly drove out, and I opened the door and got into the passenger seat. He complained, you media folks finish work even later than us celebrities. I glanced at him sideways. Well, I didn't ask you to wait and pick me up. The late autumn weather as getting colder, and Marcus casually turned on the car's AC. He casually agreed, right. I'm just asking for trouble. I couldn't help but laugh and turned on the radio. The warm air from the AC blew, and the air freshener began to take effect. The late-night radio was playing a random song, too hard to break free from an embrace lost in the passage of time, blissful tranquility in this world, fleeting life accompanied by you. Annie's epilogue. I'm Annie. 2 years ago, I joined the film and television company everyone longed for. Marcus himself chose me. Soon, Susan, who had been by his side, became a thing of the past, and I became his new companion. Outsiders all believed Marcus and I had an inappropriate relationship, and indeed wanted everyone to think that. But in reality, I was nothing more than a facade for him. One day, I terrifyingly asked Marcus when I would be replaced. He said, "As long as you don't harbor any ulterior motives, you won't be replaced." I understood the sole condition for staying by Marcus's side. It was never to truly fall in love with him or desire him. At first, I didn't understand Marcus's objective. I even thought I was just like the others before me, a substitute for his white moonlight. But I was wrong, we weren't substitutes. We were bait to draw Grace out. Once, Marcus got drunk at a cocktail party. He looked at me and said, "Your timid demeanor truly resembles hers." That night, he said a lot under the influence of alcohol. He asked if he hadn't risen high enough, why Grace still couldn't see him. I recalled that for the past few years, Marcus only accepted international advertisements. The kind of advertisements that spread to every corner of the world. He even sponsored an Arctic expedition team, only asking for his name to be included. He brought one female companion after another onto magazine covers and large screens. All he wanted was to make Grace jealous, to make her come back and see him. I fortayed him all night, and he came to trust me. He confided all those old stories to me. Marcus said, "Grace is so foolish, she probably still thinks I hate her. But, do you know? It was only a mere $1 million. Even if she had taken 100 million from my mother, what would it matter?" He shook his head and said, "No, actually, I blame her too. I blame her for not giving me a chance to stop her. I blame her for being silent. She left for so many years." He turned his back and wiped away some tears. "Tell me, she could have just gone to relax with the money, so why didn't she ever actually come back? She hid so well, I couldn't find her." He looked at the calendar on the desk and muttered, "It's been 4.5 years. If she's abroad, how could $1 million be enough? When she left, she said she loved money the most. Why was she so petty? She left, but didn't even leave me a bank account for remittances." I originally thought Marcus, like many others, believed what you can't have is what you want most. When returned to him, perhaps he wouldn't love her as much. But when Grace truly returned, Marcus went crazy. He ridiculed her to her face and lightly provoked her. He would come back in the middle of the night, go into his office alone, resting his head and smiling. He told me Grace still wouldn't acknowledge him. I thought to myself, that woman was truly ungrateful. But said, I don't blame her. She's used to being timid. That night, Marcus got drunk again. He called me and asked me to bring the marriage license to an apartment complex. The dilapidated apartment complex looked like a relic from the 60s or 70s. It was pitch black everywhere, with trash strewn about. Marcus leaned against the car, staring at the lights upstairs. Hearing my voice, he turned to look at me, his eyes bloodshot. He said, "Annie, I didn't know she was living like this. If I had known, I would have just gone abroad to find her. Why would I sulk with her?" I looked at the marriage license in his hand, a pang of sadness in my heart. I knew they were finally going to reach a happy conclusion, and it was time for me to leave. When I left, I only took a pen. It was the one Marcus had left on my desk after signing a document. He said he didn't want it anymore and gave it to me. It was the only thing given to Annie. I used that pen to write 4 words for Marcus. Happy. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.